And the thing we're going to look at now is the set piece. When they won those two championships, 2014, 2015, there were so many instances where the set piece attack, the power plays, maybe over 2 or 3 phases off a scrum or line out, were key in winning the game. They scored important tries at important times in the games. And Schmidt, his brain is brilliant. He's great at picking out the opposition weaknesses. I think we're going to bring up the analysis there on Luke. And I thought in November it was back at a peak in terms of set piece play, because in 2016, 2017 we didn't really see a lot of it in the Six Nations, certainly not enough success on their set piece attack. In November there were quite a few instances where they managed to break the teams down. This against South Africa, and this is going to end up with a try for Rhys Ruddock. But it's all about each player kind of getting their role right. This here is Dave Kilcoyne. He comes from the front of the line out, and Dev's going to pop it down to him. You've already seen Sean O'Brien, he had started in that position, and he crosses the 15-metre channel so that Kilcoyne can hit him with a pass. Those two guys doing their role really well. Then you get Bundy Aki coming on this line here for the first screenplay. And his role is going to be really important when you run it on. He just gets up ahead of the ball and you can see him there. He's just going to block in on one of those South African defenders, disconnecting him from the defensive line. And then further out the line we get that second screen. Here's Robbie Henshaw coming in between the two other midfield defenders for South Africa. This guy here and this guy here. He wants to tie them down and create the space outside himself. And he manages to do that. It's quite a poor decision from Francois Venter, but the threat of Henshaw's line drags him in there. He bites in, and as Marmion releases that pass out the back, you're going to see the effect. There's that space. Look at that space left open by Venter biting in. Johnny, of course, is really good at tying down that final defender. You know, he's staring at him here. I think he actually gets a little elbow in. Usually he's the one getting smashed. So that's right good to see. This time he gets a little elbow on, and Stockdale's away. Lovely pass off his left hand, and Conway's down the right. Like, there's so many different little roles within that. Even here at the ruck, you know, there's Rob Kearney. We're talking about his strengths. He hits rucks well. Himself, Stockdale and O'Brien, that's their next role. They get onto that ruck and clear bodies away. Quick ball. There's another good carry here. You see James Ryan get on the latch on Stander, and they're over the gain line again, and really good footwork from Ruddock to finish it off. That's brilliant finishing by Ireland, clinical in the 22, which has been a key factor in November as well. But these little roles that everyone carries out are just so effective. I don't think Ireland did that as well in maybe the last two Six Nations, and this move actually, they've used it for years. You probably remember this one. They've used it against Italy over the years. I think Keith Earls maybe 2016 made a big line breakthrough, but since then it hasn't worked as effectively. Now guys are getting the roles bang on and it's working perfectly. The next example we're going to look at is against Argentina. It's a near try, but you mentioned Joe picking out opposition weaknesses. I think this is a really good example. I'm not sure what he says here, but something like, watch this, I just made this up last week. he's got a great brain on him, and I'm probably not saying that, he's a very humble guy. Yeah. But it's a simple move, but it's done really well.
You'll probably be watching this, Murray, so be careful what you say.
Simple move done really well. Bundy Aki, here's a really important point from November. Really good carry, he beats that first defender, he gets over the gain line. If you're going to use these power plays, you've got to get over the gain line in the first phase so that the defence are backpedaling. He does really well, he's really powerful obviously, and then you see three guys resourcing that ruck, Furlong, Farrell, O'Brien, and Argentina don't actually go and compete here, but if they do, Ireland still have those guys carrying out their role, clear over the ball and get quick possession. Conor Murray picks up, I don't know if anyone remembers this, he's going to kick deep right there, but we just want to highlight pot of forwards here, pot of forwards here. Those guys are running close to the ruck because they want to tie in those defenders for Argentina tight to the ruck. They want them to condense like that.
So there is room for the kick essentially.
Exactly, and leave the space. You know, the fullback from Argentina is already covered across the pitch, kind of pendulum. Yeah, so Landako, the scrum half, Joe Schmidt has picked out that he defends in that tight channel off the line out. He's left exposed out there on the wing on his own, and you see Adam Byrne right up there getting really flat, ready to chase that kick. You can see how much Landako struggles, he falls over, literally inches away from a brilliant try. Also off scrum, like you were holding up that scrum for years. Joe is massive on that platform. Yeah, because he wants to play off. You know, he wants to play off every time. Other teams,
well, you have 16 forwards in a small 5-metre space. So why wouldn't you want to play with that space?
You can manipulate the opposition. Yeah. So we're going to see a prime example of that. This is the try that Jacob Stockdale scored off Farrell's pass. Again, we're going to see a really important Bundy Aki carry. Simple stuff. He kind of dummies, but he beats that first defender over the gain line again. And now Argentina are backpedaling to get into the line. You know, they're struggling to make a good decision because they're moving backwards, Ireland coming onto the ball. And again, everyone doing the role really well. Chris Farrell gets on the ball, he's nice and flat. And you've got actually, it's important to know here, Peter O'Mahony's come all the way around here. we're going to get another angle. It's interesting to see what his role in this is, just dragging out the defenders. But Farrell flicks the pass away, Johnny goes through, and a pretty routine finish for Stockdale, showing his pace as well. But when we get that reverse angle, it's really interesting to see what happens. There's Farrell, there's O'Mahony, he's come all the way around, and he's just going to keep those defenders out here interested, as well as the other guys on the right for Ireland. We're just going to slow it down a little bit. As Farrell gets the ball, the key for Argentina here is the fact that Iglesias bites in here. He actually needs to stay out and defend on Sexton there, because that tackle is actually being made on Farrell. Instead, as Johnny and Stockdale come around the corner, Iglesias has bitten in again. Ireland have dragged him into that, because remember, he's backpedaling, he's not really setting the defensive line, because Bundy's got that really good carry, and away the pass goes. I actually think that pass is supposed to go to Stockdale. I think Sexton was supposed to drag Iglesias a bit further out, so it looked really good, but Joe probably actually called the lads up on that, I'd say. That was supposed to go to Stockdale. Anyway, they score. Another example of a good strike, and we're going to take one more look at one more off the scrum. They don't actually score off this again, but good platform. You see Murray getting the ball from Stander. He sends a tunnel pass to Sexton, and they run that very famous loop play a little bit further out. Sexton puts Conway down the right. They don't actually score a try, but I think the South Africans concede a penalty, so it's a 3-point set piece attack. Let's just look at the little rolls again. Everyone executes. There's Bundy and Stockdale. They're the two guys running that tunnel. And Bundy's line again is really important. He wants to get outside this defender here. He just wants to disconnect him from the rest of the South African line. As we run on, you can see that happening. Look, he just gets in front of him, just there. And now Ireland are left with a 3-on-3 for their little loop play. And importantly, you've got left wing Courtney Scossan going to bite in, so that leaves a space wide on the right. The lines actually from Henshaw and Carney, they're really subtle. Rob runs really good lines actually. He's going to kind of come out and back in here, because he wants to force Scossan to bite in there. And he gets that really well.
Almost like an NFL running route for a wide receiver, in that like you're almost feinting one way before going the other.
Exactly, yeah, the little detail. But Henshaw as well, like a lot of people imagine when they're running a loop, I'll go through there, straighten it back up. But he actually subtly just gets to there, because he wants to tie in that defender as well as that guy, so that when Johnny comes round, he's going to be completely unmarked. And you see that happening. It's a really good pass from Henshaw right at the face of the tackle. Away Johnny goes, and they get 3 points out of it. Just a few examples. There was loads of others. We could go on for 10-20 minutes here with just this set piece, but for me it showed guys being really aware of their roles, and it showed me, it was a prime example of them being back towards being really sharp in November, and I think they'll be at a peak where they were in 2014, 2015 in terms of the set piece especially.
Yeah, I'm glad I called heads when we flipped a coin as to who was going to do the analysis tonight, I have to say. Fair play to you, Murray, well done.